from Universal Studios Hollywood.
Nothing quite captures that late 80s Reagan-era pro-American idealism quite like the muscle-bound TV spectacle American Gladiators. Look how strong we are. Look at this guy. His name's Laser. Cool, huh? Well, I know I make fun of it now, but when I was a kid, it was pretty cool. And of course, a property with any level of popularity needed a Nintendo game. And in 1991, we got it. American Gladiators was released on the NES with all the jank you come to expect from licensed games. In 1992, a slick new version was released for Super NES, Amiga, and Genesis. Today, we're going to be focusing on the NES and Super NES versions, the rare CGR double review. I played the hell out of the NES version of this game as a kid, and I even knew back then it was kind of a crappy game. But at the time, you just had the games that you had, and this was one of the handful that we had, and because of that, it was in constant rotation, at least until I remembered that it sucked and I turned it off again. But even all these years later, it does have a bit of a charm to it. Maybe that's just nostalgia, or maybe it's the allure of lace. But really, I think it's that this game's just so close to being good enough to be memorable, but it just barely misses that mark. You play as a nameless and androgynous contestant on an episode of the show and attempt to conquer the gladiators and defeat the Eliminator to win, obviously. I always liked how the player character runs through the title cards and credits, and the music pauses to wait for them to get to the next screen. I always thought that was kind of a neat touch. Alright, let's see how they did with that American Gladiators theme song. Too bad, I guess. But overall, the music in this game is just kind of odd. Has these weird disjointed guitar sounds. It's frenetic, has strange sound effects, and sometimes it sounds like someone is just in some dark room jamming buttons. More on that in a bit. Okay, for our first event, we have the Joust. This is Nitro's event, and if you didn't already know that, he makes sure that you do. This is the game where the contestant tries to knock the gladiator off of a pedestal with a big padded stick. Truly the apex of pugilistic sport. On the NES, each opponent favors a certain block pattern, so once you've learned it, you can easily win each time. But check out those digitized voice sound effects. Not bad, actually. We have some more oddly placed guitar hits here, and the reason we're all here. We are finally treated to the game's greatest legacy. This scream. In the pantheon of famous screams, you have the Wilhelm scream, the Howie scream, and this. I wish so badly I knew the story behind this scream, and that I could be a fly on the wall when it was being recorded. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Let's move on. Up next, we have the Human Cannonball Gemini's event. The goal here is to get the perfect angle and blast that gladiator off their pedestal. And if you're successful, you're treated to more of those digitized screams we love so much. This, honestly, is the best event in the game. Satisfying all around. It's just fun to do this. I mean, come on. Swing on rope and kick man. Alright, now let's check in on the Super NES version. Whoa! Okay, we're gonna have to come back to this later. Assault is pretty different from the show. You're trying to take out Laser, who's in this mini tank thing, constantly spraying bullets at you until you manage to hit him with your rocket launcher 3 times. So yeah, they definitely took some liberties with this one. Or you can just cross the finish line at the end and watch Laser get crumpled, which is always satisfying. This one's not super fun, but it's not too bad, I guess. It's just a little frustrating. Powerball is one of the better events, but definitely has its frustrating elements as well. It plays out pretty much like the show, but the way you, stick to everything is incredibly annoying. Why am I sticking to these walls and sticking to everything? I mean, I know it's the 80s, but come on. You're halfway expecting to bounce off the walls and NPCs, but you just stop. It's really annoying. And last but not least, the wall. The wall was always my barrier to entry as a kid. It was so hard. And when I played it to capture this footage, I was ready to get my ass kicked. And I beat it on the first try. The wall is still hard though, because the controls. You have to alternate buttons to emulate the hands and feet of the climber, and sometimes you have to be perfectly precise or you're done. all the while being chased by Gold and her cronies, who are twice as fast as you, it can get pretty hairy. And if at any point you miss a handhold, you fall to what I can only assume is a horrible, horrible death. And now for the Eliminator. I don't remember ever making it to the Eliminator as a kid, to be honest. It's not an easy game by any means, and I was determined to conquer the wall and get there for this video. And here's where I learned a difficult truth. This entire time I've been struggling with this game, all these years of failure, of not being able to make it to the Eliminator and finally beat the game. Well, I was just playing level 1. There are 4 levels, and each event gets harder each time. And then you have to beat the Eliminator after level 4. So once again, my dreams were dashed. But I take comfort in the thought that maybe not all things change, and that this is simply how it's supposed to be. I was always supposed to be defeated by Laser, Nitro, Gold, Gemini. It was my American destiny. Okay, so let's check out the Super NES version. To be honest, I was originally going to compare these side by side, but they're just so different, it's hard to even tell they're from the same company. Sure, the Super NES version looks better than the NES version, I guess. And those Mode 7 graphics on the Human Cannonball are really awesome, but there's just not much going on here otherwise. The jank is cranked up to a new level, and the controls are unintuitive and unexplained. It's a confusing experience for 5 minutes, and then it's just over. Cue the laugh track. Much less gameplay here, much less to come back to. There is one additional event, the Atlas Sphere, but this may be the most frustrating of all the events, and its mere existence is a detriment to the game. And let's be real, most importantly, there is not a digitized scream to be heard anywhere. Where are the screams? In the Eliminator, all you really do is spam the shoulder buttons and then hop some hurdles at the end. Disappointed. NES Gladiators is by no means perfect, but of the pair, it is easily the better game, and the one most worth revisiting, if for nothing else than those sweet, sweet digital screams. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe. Check out our other classic game reviews and podcasts and other YouTube videos, and find us on Twitch where we're streaming all the time.